You know, you'll notice when you do those that one side is a little different than the other side, and that maybe you don't stretch one muscle group as much as the model did that we were using in this video. However, that screening of flexibility that you just got for the upper thoracic area and the hips, you can use to judge yourself, and you really should work on that to try to get to a symmetrical right side versus left side and try to get some stretch in the hip musculature and the thorax before you move on to strengthening. It doesn't have to be perfect. You need to keep working at it, and it's even high-level athletes still need to stretch before they go on to their strengthening. What I want to talk about now is the first step in strengthening, which is targeting specific muscles, basically shorten them because they're too long in most cases. Most of us have some anterior pelvic tilt where the pelvis is tilted forward, and that creates some lengthening of the abdominals and the gluteus. And that means that those muscles are weaker. What we need to do is target the glutes and the abdominals specifically before we move on to more functional exercises for the core. So in order to do that, we are going to try to, again, restore the normal anatomy because we know that straight is strong, and we want to be straight. So we're going to target the glutes, and Greg will show you how to do that. And we're also going to talk about doing some abdominal exercises. And there's two basic ways people talk about to contract our abs. One is the traditional way called abdominal hollowing. And abdominal hollowing is basically the idea of pulling your navel back to your spine. It's used a lot in yoga. And this also sometimes causes a little flattening of the lumbar spine, but it mostly contracts the transverse abdominis muscle, the six-pack muscle that goes across the belly. And it also contracts a little bit the multifidus muscle, which are these small muscles along the back between the vertebrae. So it's targeting mostly those two muscles, and it's been shown to help people with low back pain, and it does help contract the core. The other way to do it, however, is called bracing. And bracing is pulling in more of these muscles. You're going to start to pull in more of the obliques with bracing, the rectus abdominis, and even the pelvic floor. And bracing is, if you were going to poke yourself in the stomach, just below the rib cage, you would brace up to protect yourself. And that's the kind of contraction you would want to have in bracing. It stabilizes the core a little bit more than hollowing because it's pulling in more muscles. I think hollowing is great if you're on the floor and your back is supported. They both work as a core stabilization. Bracing is probably a little bit better. But hollowing may be a first step. Again, lying on the floor or lying against standing against a wall where there's some support on your back. Hollowing can help you to re-educate the abdominals, especially the transverse abdominal, and how to fire. And some people are so weak in their abs that they really need to do that neuromuscular re-education first. So, with using those two methods, you can move on to strengthening of the core. And strengthening of the core equals stabilization of the core. So remember, now we've mobilized the hips and the thoracic spine, and Greg is now going to show us some targeted exercises for the glutes and the abs. And we need to do this foundation first to restore the normal anatomy and the normal resting lengths of the muscles. If we move on to the functional exercises and more advanced exercises without doing this piece, that's how people get into trouble with low back strains or hamstring pulls and other maladies. So be sure to do this in order.
So now that we've gone through all of the range of motion and flexibility exercises, it's time to start with basic strengthening of the glutes and the lower core, mid-core, and upper core. So the first one is targeted for the glutes, and lower back. So go ahead, Liam, get on the floor. This is a basic one. Everybody knows this one, but it's important in building lower core and glute strength. We're going to start off with a bridge. Okay, let's go 5, but normally you want to do 15 to 20 of these. A little faster, up and down. Now, once you get towards the end of the 15 or 20, you're going to start to feel a little fatigue. That's what I want. And when you start to feel the fatigue, you're going to pause here, and we're going to start with the left leg first. You're going to kick. When he picks up his leg, you can't let the other side drop. So you're going to use the core muscles to stabilize and the opposite glute to bring it down. And switch. Okay? Back and forth. And you want to do about 20, 25 of these. Personally, I like doing these for time. 30 seconds, gets a good burn, helps you learn to control the core under stress. All right? And stop right there. And you want to repeat that 3 sets of either 15 to 20 or 30 seconds at a time. If you're a superstar, you can go for a full minute. All right? Next one. It's going to also help with the range of motion in the hips while it helps stabilize the lower core. This is important for changing directions quickly and effectively. So Liam's going to have his hands over his head, back is straight, lean back, rotate. These are called windshield wipers for the hip. If you notice how a windshield wiper moves side to side, he's keeping his chest facing forward and the hips are rotating. Again, I like to do these for time, as much as 30 seconds. They really start to burn after a while. But some people prefer a number. So I give them 15 to 20 repetitions. And pause, Liam. Now, the more advanced version of this, we're going to incorporate range of motion for the hips, lower ab contraction, and also glute contraction simultaneously. These are the movements that we do in changing a 45-degree angle, a 90-degree angle, while you maintain your speed. Okay, lean back straight, rotate, and raise up. Keep your arms up, rotate to the other side. Now, make sure you don't lean forward. Use your glutes to raise you. Okay, we're going to do 2 more this time, a little faster. Boom. Switch, down. Switch. Perfect. Now, you're more advanced athlete, you can add some resistance to it to make the core work a little bit harder. So, 4-pound ball, put it in your hands. I want to step out of the way. Rotate. Power. Boom. Same position. Now, you have the upper core, mid-core, and lower core and the glutes working together as a unit. This next exercise is called a dead bug. It targets the entire anterior core. Lower, middle, and upper. Let's get in the right position, Liam. This is where you start. Hands facing each other, 90 degrees at the shoulders, hips, knees, and the feet. So he's going to make sure that the left heel and the right hand touches the floor at the same time without letting his low back off the floor. That's the difficult part. If your back comes off the floor or it hurts, you should stop. Okay? We're going to do 5 of these per side. Make sure it stays at 90 degrees, controlling it. When you're running, you want to have core strength and stability as well as range of motion, the flexibility in the core to allow the 2 upper limbs and the lower limbs to move smoothly. Okay? Stop right there. Now, once you can master this without your back coming off the floor, we're going to add some resistance to it. And I'm going to put just light weights on the ankles. Anywhere between 1 and 4 kilograms is fine. Okay? 1 to 3 kilograms in your hand is fine. Start with the same position. Okay? Again, keeping your low back glued to the floor. You're going to feel your abs really contract. And you want to perform these between 15 to 20 reps to allow for for endurance and improved range of motion, back and forth. You feel that in your abs?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay? Now, there's a variety of ways you can work it. I recommend you try as many as you can. Another one, take those off, please, Liam. Using a band. You place it on the right arm, opposite foot. Okay, now he's going to start to feel some of the obliques contract also. You want to work the circumference. Another core exercise I like to do will incorporate the groin muscles, the pelvic floor, and the lower ab. And some of this you'll see is also eccentric. It helps with the mobility in your core that also is responsible for changing directions. If you need a regular weight, use an appropriate weight. For this case, we're going to go about 3 pounds. Squeeze it between the feet. And then you want to have lighter weights in the hand. 90 degrees, same position. Keeping the low back glued to the floor. And you're going to push away without letting the back come off the floor while you're squeezing. So now, let's go 4 of those. Glutes are working, pelvic floor is working, and then he's got an eccentric contraction of his anterior core. Also, don't forget the arms must stay straight. If you bend your arms, you're going to incorporate the lats. And what we really want is the anterior core, the abdominals working. One more for me, please. Straight arms. You feel those? Okay, and take a break. All right. Now, from there, we're going to work unilaterally. We're going to work the obliques, lower core, and the anterior pec area. For this, you need a long rubber band with adequate resistance. Okay, you place it on the opposite foot as the hand. Same position. 90 degrees at the shoulders, 90 degrees at the hips, knees, and down to the ankles. But this time, you're going to go one side at a time. Don't forget to keep the back glued to the surface. Okay? Stretch. Now, it's going to be more difficult to touch the floor, so go where you can. As time progresses, you will start to get stronger and stronger, and you can pull apart. Okay? Now, don't forget, what you do to one side, you must do to the other side. Let's switch sides. Same position, 90 degrees, arms straight, and go. Now we can tell his left upper body is a little weaker because the hand positioning, he doesn't have the shoulder strength. Make sure you keep the hand facing opposite, and switch. A little harder on this side?
Yeah.
So if I were working with him, he's a runner, a soccer player, I'm going to work to build the strength and the flexibility in the upper left quadrant of his core and his shoulders, and also the right hip. Yes. If you don't have one of these, you can be creative and use a TheraBand. Anything that's elastic that provides some resistance when you go through the range of motion. So most of these core exercises we've done lying down with gravity eliminated. As we all know, in any sports, we're working with gravity. So we're going to transition to working the core in a vertical position that allows for changing directions and maximum core stability. This first one, we're going to use just regular bands, elastic bands. Easy way to put them together. Loop it through. Create a knot in the middle. And you want to find a stable pole or a rod. And again, you loop it through one more time. We're going to have the lower body in motion while the core stays as steady as possible. Starting position is on your knees, perfect core posture. Triangle right in front so the hands should line up with the middle of your chest. And from there, now his core is loaded. He's tight, and he's gonna pick up his knee, go ahead, Liam, without changing the upper body position. If I put my hand there, he doesn't move too much. Okay, start off slow. And then the next couple, you're gonna go a little faster. Pick up your hips. Perfect, stop right there. Now, with this exercise, it's excellent for runners, particularly in running sports such as track and field and soccer. This allows core to be very strong while the lower body can change direction any position it wishes without losing balance. Now, to make this a little more difficult, Liam's going to maintain the same posture. He's going to make sure his core is loaded. Now he's going to stand up. Boom. And then he's going to go back down. Perfect. While maintaining complete core stability. One of the things that I like to do is strengthen the movement. Okay, so you notice he's having to use his hips, his quads, his glutes, his pelvic floor, while the core is completely stable. And take a break. And my rule of thumb is what you do to one side, you do to the other side. So Liam, we're going to switch position. It's very important that you do things bilaterally because you don't want to have a muscular imbalance because it's going to disrupt our principle of mobile, stable, mobile. If one side is too strong or too rigid, the opposite side won't be able to react accordingly. Okay, and then stand up from there. And go back down. Let's just do one more of those. Perfect, perfect. All right, so now we're going to progress to more dynamic motion exercises that incorporates multiple muscle groups while changing directions. This first one, you're going to use regular band as it's attached to the pole. A light weight, anywhere between 1 and 5 kilos, not any heavier than that. Okay, Liam, we're going to grab the weight. You're going to perform a lunge. All right, now, when Liam's going to reach closer to the ankle, he's going to rotate and then stand up again, Liam, and then perfect. Now, he's activating his obliques, his glutes. There's flexibility in the left hip flexor, and also the lats are also working. Okay, all this is important in any sport, baseball, golf, swimming. These are very important muscles to make sure that they're able to maintain their stability and flexibility while they perform. Stop right there, and we're going to do the other side. Just do 3 on the other side. Stopping Liam for a brief second, because what he did is, go ahead and do it again, Liam. He's bending over. It's not what we want. I want him to lower his body, maintain chest posture, and then come back up to neutral. Use the quads. Again, you see he's struggling on this side. A perfect example of why you want to work unilaterally to identify where the weakness is. He's a little less stable on this side. Just like on the floor, we noticed he had one side stronger than the other. So in this case, stop for a second. I'm going to release the tension first. So move towards me a little bit. And let's reset the exercise. And don't go so far. Just go halfway, maintaining good posture. So dip. I'm going to put my hand here as feedback. Drop your glutes a little bit. This is the position that's ideal. And come back up. That's better. So start within the range where they can do it accurately.